Bradley Richardson is a 5-time best-selling author, speaker, coach, and the creator of Advanced Adulting, a platform that is dedicated to helping grown adults navigate the shifts and challenges of midlife and beyond. He is recognized as a leading voice in midlife personal development. Bradley's insights have been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Rolling Stone, Good Morning America, NPR, and more. He is the author of one of the first books for Generation X, and that was written back in the 90s when Bradley had hair and we were all much younger. Bradley now focuses on creating impactful content and conversations for this stage of life. Bradley hosts the Advanced Adulting podcast on YouTube and can be found across social media and the internet at I'm Bradley Richardson. Bradley, welcome.
Thank you. Always fun to talk to you.
I know I have had you on a number of times because you always bring such good information. I love getting the perspective of a man because many of my guests are women, but the perspective of a man is always valuable. But you have so much life experience that you're bringing to the table. And you have done a midlife career remix on yourself. You've reinvented yourself a couple of times, right?
A couple's generous. I think, like a lot of people who may not be willing to say it. Yeah, I'm in my late 50s, and yeah, I'm on my fourth or fifth chapter there. I think it's a constant evolution of who you are, what you want, and who you're going to become with what stage life presents you.
Tell me a little bit about some of these major career shifts that you've done, because I want the audience to get a little bit of perspective on where you're coming from with this.
Well, the career shifts that I've done, probably not, the actual what I've done is probably very different than a lot of people, but the fact is it has changed. It's changed, and there have been different looks on it. The other thing that I think is important for people to know too is not only have I changed in my own career, but I've been a recruiter or headhunter for well over a decade as well, and written books on careers and changing. So it's a unique perspective. But no, my shift started out when I started my career in my 20s. I was in sales for one of the very early internet companies before social media. When you had dial-up and things like that. Anybody who's over 50 understands the joy of dial-up internet.
Yes.
To writing books, to consulting with companies, to becoming a headhunter and recruiter, to having a midlife crisis, getting divorced, realizing I don't want to do it anymore, and going back to my original passions and trying to be an entrepreneur. Um, it is this constant. It's cliched for people to say, "Oh, life is chapters." It's not chapters. It's more like it's either a series of short stories, and you're the main character in each one, or like a play where it's different acts that are completely different that take this story throughout your life. So, and your career is a huge part of that.
Well, I think when people decide that they want to have a career shift, there is often some sort of feeling of failure or some sort of shame, like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. There must be something wrong with me. Is that really true?
Oh, it's totally true because we put so much of our identity, not everybody, inevitably there's going to be someone in your audience that's go, well, I didn't. Well, of course. But I mean, for the most of us, we put our identity, sometimes our self-worth in our occupation and what we do. And, we look at it when it's a shift or a change by choice sometimes, or by force, whether you lose a job, have to change your industry or a company goes away. We do look at it as reflection on ourselves, and that's completely inaccurate. But it's funny. It's the problems with that, or why we do that, is probably not too different than a relationship, and why we hang on to bad lovers and exes and all of that, and have a hard time getting past those relationships. It's your relationship with your career and how you see yourself in that we hang on to it. And when you are in a situation where you have to change not just change jobs, but change careers in a totally different pivot and different direction. It's then when we think, well, this is how I'm known. This is what I know how to do. This is who I am. This is how I make a living. And we try and hang on to that. And I did this for way too long, especially like with the recruiting thing. It was like the mafia. You couldn't leave, but you need to make a clean break sometimes and recognize, hey, I can take everything I've done that got me to this point, that I've learned through, experience, good and bad, to become who I am in a totally different direction. And that's okay. And that's normal.
When you've been working with midlife women in their late 40s, their 50s, maybe even into their 60s, and they are looking for a career change. What have you seen as some of the common things that prompt that?
Prompt it? Well, if divorce is a huge one right there. I
Yes, of
think, you know, that
course.
you know that, that's right up your alley. I think for anybody, when they find themselves in a giant life pivot that requires them to, perhaps either get a different job, increase their income, go in a different direction, that's the primary one. The other could be, something if they are currently working, that dissatisfaction, not being fulfilled is one thing, but I think more likely is your industry changes, your industry shifts, the market shifts, the clients aren't there, you lose a contract, something like that that is really beyond your control. And I think those are the things right there when you go, I need to do something different, or what I've been doing, it ain't working anymore.
Let's talk age discrimination. It is a real thing. It
Yeah,
really exists, does it not?
it totally exists. You know, it's so funny. I mean, I have a lot of videos up on YouTube about this, about age, age discrimination, ageism, and inevitably someone will pop off on there. I had one thing with thousands of comments, but there's people that, well, I found a job and I'm in my 50s. Good for you. A broken clock is right twice a day. Yes. But for the most part, um, it exists, and it exists not so much does it exist in completely overt ways that are bad, true discrimination of like, I don't want anybody, you're old, you have no hair and wrinkles, I don't want you. It happens. More often than not, it's in subtle, hidden ways. And I know this from being a recruiter. I've been in the rooms. The dirty bits that nobody really wants to hear and no one will tell you about ageism and how it occurs is the moment you leave the room, the moment you get off that Zoom call, the moment you hang up the phone, you have zero opportunity to say anything, to make a case for yourself, to say anything in your defense. But again, as a recruiter, I've sat in the rooms, and what happens is the hiring manager or executive, whomever, will go, they're going to want too much money. Do you think they're going to be comfortable here? You think they're overqualified? They're going to leave. All of those things are subtle, but they're accurate because that's the mindset. It's not this overt thing of like, oh God, they're old. We don't want to hire them. It's those things. And when you hear these couched terms like overqualified, okay, or you wouldn't be happy here. Look, and granted, I'm a fifth generation Texan. You know me well. I tend to be a little more in your face, but I'm a big advocate of calling it out. And I think if you're in your mid to late 40s, 50s or above, Gen X, we're under this illusion that we're this group of tough people that, drank water from the hose and, we're independent, but we are also the last generation to really follow the rules. And unfortunately, that doesn't serve us well at this point in our lives when we are talking to an employer. And we just go, well, they're going to see the merits of how great I am. No, they're not. They don't care. Okay. Because they don't get to that point in your resume. People make snap decisions. They make them off first impressions. They come to things with inherent biases, and especially about age. And so if it is something like that, if you think that, well, I may be too expensive. You know what? Some people think I'm too expensive. You know what? You're right. I probably peaked out and I'm not looking to make that much here anymore. Oh, well, you won't be happy here. Tell me why I wouldn't be happy here. Why do you think that? Make them say it. Make them squirm. Make them tell you. Because the moment you leave that room, they're thinking it. So you need to make your case to your horn. And this is for anybody, especially your audience. Nobody will be your champion, your advocate, your cheerleader like you will. So you better open your mouth right now while you have a chance.
Well, the thing is that I don't want to discourage anyone who is in midlife from looking at a career change, right? And this sounds really discouraging that there is going to be this age discrimination against you. What I think is important is that we acknowledge that it exists, we understand how it occurs, and that we know how to fight against it. What do we do to counteract that? And that might be in having those conversations and being willing to say, why do you think that?
Mhm.
And it might be in, hey, you're just going to have to keep putting enough applications out there that you got the numbers on your side, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's funny you mentioned that word applications. There's one thing I agree with and one thing I don't agree with on that. The numbers on your side, absolutely. This is a pure numbers play. Okay. You know, Simple. Numbers play. The more the merrier, okay? And that means with who you reach, who you try and talk to, who knows you, who you get your information in front of, but it also extends to um, how many times, you need to stalk somebody like a bad 14-year-old crush. I mean, this is not a, well, I sent a resume, I sent my email, and I didn't get back from them. No, I mean 6, 7 times until you hear no or until it's just really, really, really ugly. And that's the key there that a lot of people don't get. Now, where I disagree is when you said applications, okay? And it goes back to what I said earlier, okay? Of people, well, I'm going to follow the rules. I need to go ahead and apply online or go through LinkedIn or Indeed or their own hoops they make me jump through. Do that, but don't rely on that, okay? Don't rely on that. The only way that you're going to find something is you taking charge and trying to reach someone who actually has the power to say yes. Not all, the junior recruiters out there, the HR people, the apps, depending on the stats you look at. I saw something, not long ago. Over 90% of resumes are never even seen by a human being that are applied to through an applicant tracking system. So the point is, those things only have the ability to tell you no and to screen you, not to say yes. And going straight to the source is absolutely key. And going straight to the source is important. Not with, I'm looking for a job. Here's my resume. Do you have an opening? It's it's a date. Okay. What would you do if you went on a first date with somebody and go, oh, well, would you like to get married? How many kids do you want to have? What size ring do you want? You'd get, hey, hold on, tap the brakes. Instead, it's a, hey, look, here's what I am. Here's what I do. Here's how well I've done it, who I've done it for. Let's just have a conversation and see if it makes sense for us to maybe do something together. People don't think that way, but that works.
So you beat me to my next question
Okay.
because I was going to talk about exactly that. Certainly, it is important to look online for job opportunities, put your name and resume into ones that seem appropriate, et cetera. That's part of the process, and you absolutely have to do that. But if we are in midlife, if we're in our 50s or 60s, we have built incredible networks. We know a lot of people. So going and reaching out to those networks and the people that you know, hey, call a business friend. That's what I like to call them. Someone you do business with, but you've gotten pretty friendly with. Call them and say, listen, I'm looking to make a career shift. Who do you know that I need to talk to who might either have an opportunity or know about an opportunity, and start those conversations?
Great, great way of approaching it. The way that I frame that, because here's the thing, you know, when you go up to people, or people have done this to me all the time, hey, and think about how you would answer. It's, well, who do you know that, I'm looking for a job. Who do you know? Well, even your own friends, you may not know exactly what they do. Okay. Susie Q's a lawyer over here, but you know what? And Billy Bob is a doctor, but you don't know what their specialties are. This person's an engineer, but you don't know what they do. So, well, I don't know anybody. Instead, there's two ways of asking this, and it would be, who do you think it would be smart for me to talk to? Okay. That's it. Who do you think would be smart for me to talk to? Well, I don't know
Ooh,
who's looking. Well, I'm not asking who's looking. Who do you think would be smart for me to talk to and get to know? See, totally different way of doing it. Gives you a
wow.
totally different grouping of people. The other would be if you have a list of, say, 5 or 10 companies. Well, I wouldn't ask your friends. I mean, really 3 to 5 companies. So, for example, hey, I really want to get on with Google. Do you know anybody at Google? Or do you know anybody at XYZ company or this company? Give them 3 companies. Hey, I'm really looking to try and get in that. You could put into your social network because you don't know. You don't know who they, hey, my brother works there. My sister-in-law works there. Hey, you bet I know them. You don't know. Okay. And I think that's the thing, how little we really know about each other and what they can be connected to. So if you have something specific in terms of a company you want to get into, that's it. Well, I don't know. Well, you're an engineer. Well, I don't have to know the same thing. I just need somebody at this organization that you can make an introduction to and get in. That's it.
See, this is why I have you on, because you just totally took my idea and made it 10 times better. So I
Thank you.
love this. I love this.
It's good.
Okay, let me talk about this. When midlife women are looking to make career shifts, one of the things you mentioned earlier was a lot of times there is divorce or another life transition that's happening. They're getting divorced. They have the end of a long-term relationship. They have a partner who dies,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
Something has caused them to need to go back into the workforce. How can they leverage their life experience when they're looking for a job? And I don't mean this dumb stuff of, well, I manage schedules at home, right? And
Right.
nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff anymore. But the
Yeah.
truth is, you have old work experience, but you have an awful lot of life experience. How can we present this? How can we at least make something of it in the process of trying to find a job?
Okay. So people may not like this answer, but it's the answer. Um, you're right. The tired stuff of, well, I managed a team of 4, blah, blah, your kids, whatever. I mean, it worked back in the day. It's stupid advice now. Okay. Instead, and this is for us older folks. Okay. And again, the caveat is it's direct. When I talk to people in the workforce, employers, one of the biggest challenges right now is, I mean, I'm not is really the lack of work ethic, professionalism, and communication among young people right now. So here you go. I mean, I get crucified for this. I would throw Gen Z under the bus, okay? And advocate for you. Look, hey, are you having a problem with absenteeism? Are you having a problem with quality of work? I mean, look, I've been in situations where, you know, people, "Hey, bro. Hey, man. Yo." And you're like, "No, that's not how you do it." Maybe it is in certain things, but if you're an organization or an employer that wants things to a higher standard, wants to reduce absenteeism, wants professionalism, wants someone has follow through, that's what I do. You know what? And that's just it. Look, I bring gray hair, no hair, whatever, some maturity to the mix. Okay? That's it. What you don't do, the worst thing that people can say, well, I pick things up very quickly. I'm a quick learner. Okay, grandma. I mean, that nothing screams that faster. You may be, but I think what you're doing is anybody. You need to hit their pain points. And not everybody's going to have the same pain points. But that's what you have to offer. And you framed this question as life experience. Life experience is I'm a grown up. I know how things work. I know that you're in a business to make money. Now, and culture's great and all this other's great. But look, are you having a problem with your customers just, realizing, and who are your customers? If you have older customers there and they're dealing with someone who, is 25, 27 and, basically is broing you to death, then there's a problem. So that's what I bring. Again, it's not the perfect answer, but that's a way to frame life experience.
I love that answer so
Mhm.
much. That is I don't even know what answer I was expecting, but that was better than whatever it was.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you're in your 50s,
Mhm.
realistically, you easily have another 15 to 20 years to work. And I like to say that I think things are even going beyond that, where we may never traditionally retire. Like this idea of quitting work altogether might not be a thing in the very near future. And so when women are looking at career changes, how should they be thinking about that next 15 to 20 years that's ahead of them professionally?
Absolutely. And it's for anybody. You hit it right on the head. If you may not be able to retire, you may not want to retire. That's okay. Retirement may look very different, but your career is going to look very different. And the fact of the matter is, right now, if you're 50 plus, you know, if you can get a full-time job with a company, great, okay? But I would also get comfortable with the fact that you are gonna have to have multiple streams of revenue, multiple avenues for income, and that may not be with a one full-time company. It may be 1099, it may be contract, it may be project, it may be you've got 3 projects at once, it may be you have an entrepreneurial side hustle as well, and, I think that's the thing is you're gonna need to really become much more entrepreneurial with it, and, that's a hard one for a lot of people to take because we've, spent the past 20, 30 years working for someone else. And, yeah, just realizing that the permanence of a single job and single employer is something that is really going by the wayside, especially the older we get. And you are going to have to take control of it through multiple streams that may look very different across the board.
I love thinking about it that way because then your eggs are not all in one basket. When someone says to you, "You know an awful lot about this. Have you ever thought about working on a contract basis and doing some special projects for companies that need just that thing for 1 month or something like that?" I mean, I think it's a great way to supplement your income and create something that you can always fall back on if the company you go to work for folds someday, right?
There's that, and the other thing, it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about the ageism piece. One of the biggest things outside of the compensation, oh, they're going to want so much money, more money. Okay, maybe. But the other is, well, they're just going to leave. One, it's a stupid employer. Okay, if they think that, because here's my take on this: everybody leaves. Everybody leaves. Everybody will leave you. That 27-year-old that you just hired is suddenly going to wake up in a couple of years and think, I want to go get my MBA. I want to go, I want to go open up a taco stand on Bali. I want to, whatever. And they're going to leave, just like you could leave in 2 years. The idea of thinking someone's going to be there for a long period of time, well, they're near retirement. They're just going to leave. They're going to leave, yeah. Well, then that is when I would flip it and either mention, hey, everybody leaves. Wouldn't you rather get someone with experience, some professionalism, and get the most and maximize that for a period of time? Or let's just do this on a contract basis. Okay, let's do it as long as it works. Just a different way of flipping it.
What if I don't have a professional network? I'm 50 some years old and I am getting back into the workforce. I'm resuming a great career that I had at one point, but really all my professional contacts are old or I never had any real professional network to begin with. What do I do?
Do you have a social contact? I mean, here's the thing. People think LinkedIn is it, and LinkedIn is great. But, okay, well, it's twofold. We'll go back and talk about how you develop a professional network. But the other is, look, you have people on Instagram, you have people on Facebook, hit them up. It's not, they're not going to hire you. It's who they know. That's it. It's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. I mean, what you're looking for is those connections. And don't just think it has to because I know them socially or communicate with people socially. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, a lot of deals are done via Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or other things like that by reaching somebody because you can't get them in a traditional method. You can't call up the office anymore because, they don't have them and you can't get through to somebody. So trying to, or, you don't know what their office email is or things like that. Now on LinkedIn, it's a little different story because it's not the one, don't do in-mails. Those are garbage. But it is trying to get yourself known and comment. Everybody loves to be flattered. Okay. So when you read something in an industry that you like or want to be in, and you see something that someone has put out there, comment on that. Start, hitting them up. Hey, really like that. Hey, that made me think. Or putting stuff on your own or sharing things like that. That's how you start develop those things kind of in this day and age. It's not just well, I don't know anybody. Well, look, there are people who I do business with that I've never met face to face, or people who I do things with like on the podcast, over in the UK or wherever, because I've never met them, but because they've seen things that I've done or I've seen things they've done, and you comment and you establish a relationship and credibility that way.
People forget you have friends, neighbors, people you know at church, a community group that you're involved in, your pickleball people that you hang out with. There are a lot of places where you know people who know people. And the key, I think, is to just start talking, right?
Nobody, look, it would be great. There's twofold to that. Nobody, no, everybody is selfish. It's not bad. It just is. Everybody's selfish and got their own thing, and they're doing their own deal. They don't know that you need something unless you say something, and they don't know who you are, what you want to do, or what you need, or how they can help you. Well, I hate that phrase. Well, let me know how I can help you. I don't know how you can help me. Okay, I don't. But if it's I need an introduction over here, or if I have an understanding of what you do or the type of help that you need, a little better. So the point is, open your mouth. Open your mouth, toot your horn, because nobody's gonna do it for you.
Tell us about the Advanced Adulting podcast.
I love it. I'm excited about that. I've written 5 books. I've been on social media forever and done that. But I really enjoy the conversations. And look, do I have a lot of answers? Hopefully, but I don't know it all. I'm just in midlife trying to figure it all out, like all of us. And so I view myself as a conduit. And with the Advanced Adulting podcast, it's basically having conversations that matter with people to help you navigate midlife and beyond. And we talk about all the things that most everybody encounters at some point. May not be at this particular time, but regardless of your background, your education, your income, anything, and whether that is aging parents, your health, relationships, your finances, all of these things, I'm bringing in experts from around the world, and we're having real no BS conversations about how they do it and how you can do it too. And I made it exclusively on YouTube, and yeah, I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun, and it makes people think, but also gives them something they can use as well.
The Advanced Adulting Podcast, new episodes every Thursday on YouTube. As always, Bradley, you were a wealth of information. Thank you so much for the fantastic advice.
Thank you, and I love the work you do, and yeah, doing good stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.